Good morning, distinguished guests, speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out warmly from Indonesia to all of you all across Asia, Malaysians, Thais, Ghanas, German, and many more. We are delighted to welcome you to the opening of the 7th TVET UPI Conference 2022 in conjunction with the 2022 RAVTE annual meeting with the theme Digitalization on Technical and Vocational Education and Training. With me, Dauphin, and my partner Nabila, we will be your master of ceremonies throughout this joyous event. We greet the honored Rector of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Dean and Vice Deans of the Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, speakers, presenters, and participants.
These conferences bring together academia, researchers, practitioners, and policymakers who are responsible for improving the world of TVET technology, and provide a great opportunity for prospective participants to share their recent theoretical knowledge, research findings, and experiences in technology to improve the TVET world. As such, these conferences will feature a presentation by international speakers, which are cutting-edge session topic. And there will be an attendance and exit form the participant should fill out in each session. Certificates are only given to participants who complete the agenda to the end of the conference. David, what's the agenda for today's conference?
Well, Nabila, today we will have 3 plenary sessions, and then it will be followed by a parallel presentation, and then at the end of the conference, we will have a special announcement. For the plenary session, we will have a discussion with the honored Assistant Professor Dr. Park Pongkiat, and then it is followed by Dr. Mumu, and then lastly, we will have Mr. Wilson Lima Jr.
Dear distinguished guests and participants, starting our event, let us sing ASEAN and Indonesian National Anthem. Indonesia, tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku. Di sanalah aku berdiri, jadi pandu ibuku. Indonesia, kebangsaanku, bangsa dan tanah airku. Marilah kita bersatu, Indonesia bersatu. Hiduplah tanahku, hiduplah negeriku, bangsaku, rakyatku semuanya. Bangunlah jiwanya, bangunlah badannya untuk Indonesia Raya. Merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to listen to the opening speech and official opening from the Honorable Committee Chairman of the 7th TVET UPI Conference 2022, Dr. Mustika Nuramalia Handayani. For the Committee Chairman, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, the Honorable Rector of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, the Honorable Dean and Vice Dean of Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, the Honorable Advisory and Executive Board of Regional Association of Vocational and Technical Education in Asia, the Honorable keynote speakers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of organizing committee, I'm honored and delighted to welcome you to the 7th UPI International Conference on Technical and Vocational Education and Training. This conference is organized by the Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, with spirit of international collaborations, especially regional collaboration in Asia. This conference is also within the framework of Regional Association of Vocational and Technical Education in Asia. Our conference theme this year is Digitalization on Technical and Vocational Education and Training, or TVET, which is very relevant to our TVET current situation in Asia and beyond. The call for papers has attracted submission from various regions in Indonesia and from abroad. A total of 83 standard oral presentations have been selected from at least 115 applications received. We strive for prestige by inviting distinguished speakers who are experts in their fields. We have 3 keynote speakers from 3 different countries: Thailand, Indonesia, and Germany. As a conference change, I know that the success of the conference depends ultimately on the many people who have worked with us in planning and organizing the conference program. So here, allow me to express my deep appreciation to the Rector of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, the Dean, Vice Dean of the Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education for their tremendous support of all facilities and funds for the conference. Also, we would like to thank to the advisory board member as well as the scientific committee. Recognition should go to our fellow organizing committee members who have all worked extremely hard for the details of important aspects of the conference programs and all related activities. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take this virtual conference as an opportunity to learn and create a network among presenters and participants. We wish you all a fruitful and successful conference. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to the committee chairman for the wonderful speech. Next, we are going to listen to the speech from the Honorable Dean, Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Dr. Iwa Kuntadi. For Dr. Iwa, time is yours.
Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellency, Rector, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, keynote speakers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, I welcome you to the 7th UPI International Conference on Technical and Vocational Education and Training 2022. In its 7th year of UPI International Conference on TVET commencement, I'd like to thank the tremendous support from our university and endless effort from the faculty members, without whom this conference would never be inaugurated. In the last 7 years, we built a series of conferences tackling the critical and necessary issues in the scope of technology and vocational education. Series of successful UPI TVET conference from 2010 2020 had discussed it and identified trends and challenges in area of policies, skills and personal development, curriculum design, pedagogical innovation, and educational technology in TVET. Moving forward beyond the year to 2022, TVET system should become more flexible, quicker to adapt, and put a greater focus on lifelong learning. On the other hand, TVET teaching and learning will become more digital itself. TVET institutions need to build the capacities to take advantage of digitalization and integrate digital media. Digitalization is reshaping millions of jobs globally, with digital technologies widely used in the workplace. Most jobs today require basic digital skills, such as the ability to communicate via email or social media, create and edit digital document, search for information, and protect personal information online. To remain innovative and attractive, TVET must keep up to date with the current technological developments and respond to the demand of digital economies by supplying learners with the new digital skills and competencies. Accordingly, TVET teaching staff have to be aware of new and evolving digital trends and tools, and also be able to effectively teach the student as they prepare to enter the workforce of the future. Therefore, this year UPI International Conference on TVET raised the main topic, digitalization on technical and vocational education and training. This online conference provides a conducive environment for knowledge and experience exchange among participating stakeholders. This is a great opportunity to share with TVET peers with the convenience of presenting online without having to travel outside one's residence. It is an honor for the Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, UPI also within the framework of Regional Association of Vocational and Technical Education in Asia, to host researchers around the globe in the 7th UPI International Conference on TVET 2022 to disseminate knowledge, share research finding and new technologies, exchange ideas, and share success stories among stakeholders and us. Lastly, I hope you are all enjoying the conference. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Dean of Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Dr. Iwa Kuntadi, for the wonderful speech. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to present to you the Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education's profile. Please enjoy.
Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, also known as FPTK, is one of faculties at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, located at Jalan Dr. Setiabudi number 207 Bandung. FPTK is one of the oldest faculties in the field of technology and vocational education in Indonesia. FPTK originally started as an engineering course for vocational high school teachers in 1958. It became an integral part of Universitas Pajajaran's Faculty of Teacher Training and Education and Faculty of Engineering in 1961, before being established in 1963 as a part of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia's Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education. In FPTK, we offer various engineering and vocational education courses on various levels. Currently, FPTK has 15 associate degree, undergraduate and postgraduate programs of study, and 5 departments, which are the Department of Electrical Engineering Education, the Department of Mechanical Engineering Education, the Department of Civil Engineering Education, the Department of Architectural Education, the Department of Family Welfare Education, Study Program of Agro-Industry Technology Education, and Study Program of Logistic Engineering, Master Program of Architecture, Master Program of Technical and Vocational Education. We also offer a postgraduate program in technology and vocational education that is integrated with UP Schools of Postgraduate.
Our mission is to become a leading faculty that excels in implementing technology and vocational education at the Asian level in 2020 and at the Asian level in 2025. With a strong commitment to quality and a good education management system, we believe that we can produce high quality graduates to become educators and professionals in the field of engineering and vocational education.
Ranked first in Indonesia by the QS ranking in 2020 by the subject of education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Specifically, FPTK will continue to ensure the best practice of technology and vocational education, with direct involvement from the industries and related education institutions. The learning process at FPTKUP is directed at developing students' competencies through a series of continuous learning experiences. This is also accompanied by students' quality control in the selection process, lectures, and guidance until graduation. To ensure the quality of our educations, lessons, and learning activities are conducted in various modes. Besides having lectures in class, the students can also learn in the workshops, laboratories, design studios, virtual classes, field or industrial practice, group projects, international conference, international class, international lectures, and internships. We also incorporate technology into the learning process, both in delivering the programs and in the curriculum. To improve graduate quality and establish network with external parties to develop future interests, FPTK collaborates with various institutions, businesses, industries, schools, and governments both at home and abroad. We realize that providing the best learning experience has to go hand in hand with sufficient facilities and student support. Here in FPTK, we provide students with career counseling services, auditorium, smart classroom, micro-teaching laboratories, libraries, facilitated with cafeteria, prayer room, book consultants room, and other related activities. We do our best to make learning environment in FPTK welcoming for everyone.
Hi, my name is Fatir. I'm a student from the Department of Architectural Education, class of 2020. The faculty's experienced teachers, combined with good opportunities from the professors and complete facilities, make a good learning atmosphere for me and my friends.
Hi, my name is Sarah Istiqomah. I'm a student of Agro-Industrial Technology Education Study Program, class of 2017. My overall experience in FPTK has been an amazing experience of learning. I enjoyed every class, especially that all the lecturers are always informed and encouraging. The experience enabled me to communicate better, learn more, and develop myself better.
The quality of our education is reflected in the achievement of our students and teaching staff. Our students have won many awards and competitions and participated in various student exchange and exhibition from the local to international levels. We also continuously improve our teaching staff's qualifications by making the faculty an ideal place for academic research and personal development. From 2019, FPTK is developing the Center of Excellence for Technical Education and Vocational Teachers in Indonesia as a part of our commitment to ensure our education quality. Do FPTKUP continues to take part in producing high-quality graduates who are highly competitive and globally insightful, following UPI's vision to become a leading and outstanding university. FPTK will make a significant contribution to the progress of current and future development of education in Indonesia.
Welcome to Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education.
Next, we are going to listen to the speech from the Honorable Rector of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Professor Muhammad Solehuddin. For Mr. Rector, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable keynote speakers, invited speakers, distinguished guests, presenters, and participants of international conference, the 7th UPI International Conference on Technical and Vocational Education and Training. On behalf of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, it is a great honor to extend to you all a very warm welcome to this spiritual conference broadcasted from Bandung, Indonesia. It is an opportune time for all of us to convene with fellows across the globe in a conference in the field of technical and vocational education and training, or TPET. TPET will play a key role in training, retraining, and upskilling of post-COVID society. COVID-19 has brought forward countries thinking about how technology can be used by TPET. While digitalization is not a new trend, the COVID-19 pandemic has sharply increased the demand for digital skills. Moving forward beyond the year of 2022, TPET system should become more flexible, quicker to adapt, and put a greater focus on lifelong learning. On the other hand, TPET teaching and learning will become more digital itself. TPET institutions need to build the capacities to take advantage of digitalization and integrate digital media. Thus, the 7th UPI International Conference on TPET, focusing on digitalization, on technical and vocational education and training. The conference theme is very relevant and beneficial to our TPET current situation. This conference will discuss the new and evolving digital trends and tools in technical and vocational education and training, how to use digital media and its integration in effective teaching and learning to students in order to prepare students entering the workforce of the future. This conference is organized by Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, also within the framework of Regional Association of Vocational and Technical Education in Asia. This international conference and publication opportunity is one of the proofs of our program to reach the target in research publication as well as international collaboration. I'm pleased to let you know that as a part of the biannual UPI TPET conference series, this conference series has successfully brought together actors of the global TPET sectors. This conference series has been as a place for exchange of knowledge and examples of good practice of collaboration in TPET at all levels within the last 12 years. Previous UPI TPET conference has been attended by scholars from across the globe and published reputable proceedings. I am proud that having done so, this conference has been a role model for other conferences held by Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. Finally, I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to the Advisory Board, Scientific Committee, and Organizing Committee for enabling this conference to take place. Also, I thank everybody who take time to attend to this conference virtually. Having that said, I officially open this international conference. I wish we will have a very productive and successful conference. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to the Rector of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Professor Muhammad Solehuddin, for the wonderful speech. As a kind reminder for our participants, for those who haven't uploaded their videos, you can do so starting now, because soon we will hold the parallel sessions. So please upload your videos to the designated links. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we are reaching one of the main agendas of this event. We would like to present our first keynote speaker for today, Assistant Professor Dr. Pakongkiat from RMUTT, Thailand. This session will be led by professional technologist Dr. Afero Ismail as the moderator.
Dr. Afero Ismail served as the head of Center of Industry in UHDM Digital Innovation Center. Dr. Afero Ismail possesses a wide area of interest in the world of TVET. With an abundance of experience in this area, Dr. Afero has published numerous research and committee many consultancy and professional services. To Dr. Afero Ismail, time is yours.
This. All right, thank you, Master of Ceremony. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, wherever you are around the world. So, welcome again to the 7th TVET Conference organized by UPI. And as mentioned by the Master of Ceremony, I'm Afero Ismail, all the way from Malaysia. And my friend, Dr. Fakon Kiat, we flew all the way through here to Bandung, Indonesia. Thank you, organizer, for inviting us. And of course, now we are moving to the first keynote speaker, the first agenda for today's conference. So before we proceed, I would like to introduce Dr. Pakon Kiat. Yeah? So I will just share the CV on the screen. And Dr. Pakon Kiat background is towards electrical engineering. He is graduated from Japan, his doctoral. And then currently he's the Vice Dean for Research and Development for Faculty of Technical Education, Raja Mangala University of Technology, Thailand, Thailand. Yeah. And then he was a former Deputy Director, Institute of Research and Development, also in RMUTT. And currently he's the Secretariat member in Academic and Research Section for Regional Association of Vocational and Technical Education, RAVTE in Asia. And for information, Dr. Pakongkiat also received multiple grants and locally, internationally. Congratulations. So I think this is a good time for us to hear some knowledge, some sharing regarding, this is more on the practices and about digital transformation in Thailand. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Pakongkiat to deliver your speech. Please welcome.
Yes, thank you much for your welcome me to the conference. So can I stand on the podium right now? Okay, thank you. So the Excellency, the Rector of the Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, the executives, the Dean of the Faculty, Theology and Vocational Education, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honors to be here to give some contents to exchange for my experience in Thailand about the digital transformation in Thailand. So I may have some content to share you. Please share my slide. Okay, for my title is the Thailand Digital Transformation and TVET Education Forwarding Arts and Economics 4.0. So it changed my ideation and some contents that we have done in Thailand. Maybe you can change your idea in this session after my presentation. Okay, so at first I would like to make you clear about what is the digital. In the technical term of the entering education, analog and digital. What is the analog? What is the digital? At first, we may know well about the analogs. We long time ago we used the signal from the analog. Maybe the electrical or electronics engineering will know about this. We everything in our life we are the analog, like your circle. Analog means continuous moving, like a signal. It's continuously simultaneous moving like analog. But for analog, we have some limits about the quality of the signal. Then in next generation, I mean in the past generation have been passed, we transfer to the digital era. The digital is the representative of analogs. And the information could be like a logic, zero level and one level. It's representative for the information unique. Then can I give you some example of analog and digital? At the first time, your voice is the some kind of the information that is errors. Then we can get the more very performance of the system for communication. This is the first information for voice communication among man-to-man communication. But today, we have not only voice, we have text, we have video, we have some data communicate with. Then you can communicate with your text on your YouTube, your Messenger, or your LinkedIn, or anything else about the social media. You can communicate with text or a picture, something like that. That is the digital at the right now. So what is the roadmap of the digital transformation? Okay, at first we have three roadmap for digital transformation. At first, in the initiative phase, we call it digitization. Digitization is the process of making information that I informed you in the last slide and access for the digital format. But right now we have the digital format right now, but something is still analog. You can available. The second phase is the adaptation. We call the digitalization. Digitalization, it means the process of considering how best to apply the digitized information to simplify specific operation. Like you have online now, you are in the phase of adaptation of digitalization. You use the media, you use the social media, use the internet, that you are in the adaptation era of the digitalization. But for near future and far future, we will run together to be a futuristic era for the digital transformation. So what is the digital transformation? It is the process of devising new business applications that integrate all the digitized data and digitalized applications. In Thailand, everything information is transformed to digital. For example, financial banking, we can use mobile phone to transfer, to receive, to recheck your money you receive, you got by your mobile phone. In the government system, every document we submit, we receive, we read on the mobile phone. And then we also signed by dean or rector or our president on the mobile phone. We have in the adaptation to use everything on the digital device. But in the future, your teaching process, your learning is definitely changed because the technology is come. We cannot resist. We can resist, but we cannot resist the technology. But we have to learn how to be, how to play, and how to do with the technology. That is, we will walk into the third futuristic digital transformation. So once again, I would like to confirm the meaning of the digital transformation. Exactly, it's mean adaptation of digital technologies in the ecosystem that I mentioned you in the last slide. Every system, every daily life you use will be digital format, and as well as your organization and your process, your everything in your life will be used digital transformation, but it could be strategically enhanced. You have to strategically transform because you have to get the effectively service. You would like to get the effectively performance of your operation, then you have to direct on the strategically line or roadmap. For the ideation of the digitalization in Thailand, we can start from the business process transformation, and we improve our process in our business. In business, I mean everything in your organization, also academic, also institutes, also university. That is a kind of business, and you improve your process from analog to the digital format. And then it's the products, your product or your service. Service right now, it's mean your teaching service, how to teach. What about your equipment? What about your teaching style? What about your tools, teaching tools? And what else relating to your teaching or your research on education? You have to improve from the analog to the digital format. And then enhanced your value chain from the improvement state to the enhancement state, that you will get the new opportunities or your new services in the in the digital format. For in Thailand, we have this strategic plan we call the 20-year plan to transform from digital analog to digital format. And we have the first phase is the digital foundation. That's we invest infrastructure, internet. Everyone could be access the internet everywhere, every time, and everyone can be access the internet. That is the first phase you could be done at the first phase. And the second phase, we have ensure everyone can reap the benefits of digital technology. Even the handicap or oldies also can access the digital technology. So the challenges is how let them play, how let them access the internet, because when they was young, they never use digital format, digital device, but today they have to use digital format, digital device. How let them play their digital device as well. That is our challenges. The third phase is the full transformation. We will drive our country with digital technology and innovation. You have to create some service or some teaching slash your equipment or everything else to the digital format innovation fully in the third phase. And finally, in the fourth phase, 10 or 20 years, we are sustainably development in the developed country, and we will got the global leadership digitalization, and we can be the digital fully device and platform. So in Thailand, what we are playing on, we have the target industry, and in our ASEAN countries, I think we have two important sectors. The one sector is industry, but another one is agriculture, because in ASEAN country, we are full of the agriculture area. Then we also the important area to produce some industry products. And in Thailand, we have the 10 targeted industry. For example, robotics, the digital aviation, and the like a smart industry, and how to enforce them to transform to analog to digital by using digital technology. At first, we select the area to fully deploy for digital technology, and we select the eastern area. We call this area is the EEC model, the Eastern Economic Corridor. This is the area that the government and the private sector will invest fully on this area for the target industry. And then we have planned to transit from the third generation to the fourth generation. And the third generation, we have the automation, but it's not smart. But the fourth generation, we will transform to the digitization with smart operation and fully physical system with the digital technology. This is our industry 4.0 leversion model. And we have done this 2 years before, and we are being further developed more and more. Okay, next, please. Okay. For you can see at the right, your hand, you can see the economic growth from many countries, also your countries here. And you can see at the below, the rate in the 2005, we have the 35% is intra-regional export in the ASEAN. And 2010, we have the 38% in intra. Intra is mean in ASEAN. We have export each order, our product, our services, each order in ASEAN. And in 2016, we have more than that. We have 40%. It means your country, my country, we have export more each order. That means your product is already improved. That, but you see another for the blue European Union or US, it's lower than our region. But we cannot leave export to the US or export to the European because we have to communicate, we have to export to every region in the world. But you can see the rest of the world is also not too less. It's 25, 32, and 33 from 2005 until 2016. And you can see on the left, what is the new engine of growth for your economic. We will transform from the traditional technology to the new technology. For example, the traditional farming to the smart farming, from the traditional SME to the startup, and for the unskilled laborers to knowledge or work.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's I hear your voice. That means you are listening to me. Okay, we got some problem because we are being in the digital transformation, right? Okay, that's not problem. That is okay. Okay, we are based on the STEM, the science, we call the STEM, right? Okay, our education is based on STEM. We call the STEM. It means the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Every subject, every content we could based on the STEM, and we could declare the content is based on one of S, T, or E, or M. It is the our science and technology based education. So how can I, next slide, please. One. Okay. So, okay. So this slide is showed what will be effect of your TVET teacher. You may got already know about how to transform from analog to digital, and you will see the new digital technology on your daily life. For example, the mobile phone, Internet of Things, or cyber security, cyber application, robotics, automation, or Internet, or smart sensor. That is around you to let you in the technology in the recent and in the future. And you cannot resist that. Your student also can play, also can do on the digital devices. And then you may embed your device or your technology in your in your classroom, and then let them engage more about the greater device in your classroom, and then let them use your time effectively in the class, not only see the TikTok in your classroom, but how to use TikTok in your classroom. That's very challenging for the teacher right now, and how to customize the experiences to your student. But not only student, but I also need teacher. I think every teacher have the idea on TikTok or YouTube, but how to use your social media for your subjects, for your content. And because of digital technology, we can teach from one side of the world to another side of the world via virtual classroom, or like a guest lecturer. You can use that technology. We have no boundaries to use the technology across the world. And the industry 4.0 framework in Thailand, I have mentioned you the last slide about the smart sensor or robotics, advanced robotics, Internet of Things, or AI, VR, and AR. That's also cloud computing. So your content, not only your papers, but it's around in the cloud computing, in the internet. You can use the teaching material from Harvard, from Cambridge. You can share some content. You can share some experience from the famous university to your university as well. But what is the challenges in the TVET education in our country and also your country? The first, in the domain of students, the behavior of learning is changed at all. So how to let them concentrate in your content, because they are always borrowing your content when you are give some lecture, but how can you adapt your lecture, your content in your classroom? Maybe you can get them some experience that is real experience, like a work-based learning in the real situation. Maybe you can find some partner in the industrial sector and let your student to in the some real situation. That is our challenge to do that. And your student, when you have the many students in your the same classroom, in the past, we have just one requirement. Everyone have to concentrate on your content, just one content. But nowadays, it's diversity requirements. It means individually requirements for personality of your student. Some student may need to know one thing, but another maybe want to know another thing, but in the same classroom. And then how to emerge the different requirements in the same classroom. How to get them? Maybe you can challenge them to be like a different context. If the smart student, it can be coach for their group, and another maybe the follower or the group members, and then study together in the classroom. That is the behavior of learning is changed at all. And soft skill and new skill for the 21st century is also important, because the soft skill is very needs in the industry and also needs in the university, in the institutes when they are going to get some jobs. They have to communicate effectively what they have done, what they have do, and some skill, for example, leadership, problem solving. You can get every day, like today, we can get problem solving or creativity. Then your you have to get them know about the soft skill and new skill for the new era, for the next education. And do not forget your old student, alumni. Your alumni maybe graduates maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, but the content is old fashionable, it's out of trend. But how to let them know the recent trend or the recent content? That's just invite them, convince them to come back to your university, and then you may set up some course to reskill them. And the teacher domains also, we have graduates long time ago. For me, 10 years ago, I graduated the doctoral degree, but that content is change at all. We have to learn the new skill and upskill my content, that the teacher also have to learn new things, to teach new things to your new students. And the teaching style that I told you about, the teaching style have to be changed. Your student boring, always boring when you giving just the text content, but how to make them like a flipped classroom. Maybe in the past, your style maybe give content and then make them solving problem. But in right now, we may use the flipped classroom like at first, let them know the problem, and then let them share the idea, and at last you get the last content to them. That is very challenging to students more than only lecture. And your teaching material, you can also update every day, today, tomorrow, even next week. The digital technology will be change your life and your style or your material or your equipment. And the last one is the courseware and facilities and your content. I mean, also courses have to be updated and revised. Maybe 2 years or 1 year you have to revise if the technique is faster than us, and you have to revise your content. Maybe semester by semester you have to revise your content. And I also said about the work-based learning, and you have to link your industry sector and then make like a network and then embed your content in your subjects and then embed to your work-based integrated and make them get more opportunities to get the job that high income. And the last is you have to set some facilities and reproduction the cost for everyone, because everyone is our target. Everyone, people, oldies, young student, or just a baby can be your targets, but you have to set some courses, new courses, to let them know the technology. You know, in Thailand, just the kid 8 years, they can coding the program, because in the past when we writing the program, we use the the OS program. That is very very nonsense. The human cannot know about the program, but nowadays they use the easy programming. That wise the just kids in Thailand can coding robotics in Thailand, and you have to learn about this. And all the digital technology came into every ages of your people. Then how to prepare, how to arrange the digital quotient for every people. That is the digital citizenship. And we have prepared some the privacy management and footprints to let the oldies know about what is the digital and how to use the digital. Empathy and cyberbullying in Thailand, we have also that, and screen time management that is very important to your student. even in your classroom. Maybe you have to prepare or arrange your time for use the internet and also concentrate on your content. That is our digital quotient in Thailand. And when we compare digital transformation to the globally, comparing with Thailand, you can see at the first digital laggard, followers, evaluator, and adopter and leaders. You can see the evolution of our enhancement of digital transformation in Thailand. And the red line is the global, and the green line is in Thailand. You can see at the first, we can start at the near point 5% and 9%. And the follower, we make them use, all business or organization use or invest digital device, digital technology, or in the organization and also in university. And then you can see that Thailand is just 10%, but probably then the 30%. But for evaluator, you can see the opposite side of the globally, it's just 33%, but in Thailand, 59%. What's happened in that? Because some technology is impact to your daily life. It's faster than our expected. Then we have to employ and deploy. Employ your people have to employ digital technology. Deploy, it means your organization have to use the digital technology based on. That is, we have greater than the globally. And then adopter is maybe the same, and the leader. Right now, we have used a fully digital system in our country, but it's not enough for today, but we have to develop more. So today, we know about the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals in globally, that this is the global goals for every country in the UNESCO members. And you can see the 17 goals. And you can also see the black dot on some goals. For example, the number 4, quality of education. Number 5, gender equality. Number 8, good jobs and economic growth. Number 10, reduce inequalities. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities. And finally, the goal number 17, partnership for the goals. That's I focus on what you are in that goals. The black dot is mean will be related to your field. Your field, education field may be related to the goals number 4, 5, 8, 10, 11, and 17. But another, it related to specific fields. For example, no poverty. It's maybe related to the like a social major. And the number 6, clean water, may be related to the like a civil or something like that, environmental major, maybe that is more specific area of education. But for the black dot I put on the number 4, 5, it's 8, 10, 11, 17 is maybe related to your field. And in Thailand, we have also some theory about the SEP. SEP is means sufficient economic philosophy. It's given by the former king, the King Rama IX. He gave this like a concept of SEP, but how to merge, how to link to the SDGs, that we have to transform from the foundation to the progress to the balance to the SDG. We have the 4 domains. At first, the economic, environmental, social, and cultural. That's we relate to from SEP to the SDG. And we have a new model about the BCG that I mentioned you about the EEC model is just only focused on the specific area in the eastern of the Thailand. But what about the other areas? We have the BCG model for everywhere in Thailand, every area in Thailand. We have the BCG model for industry and also for agriculture field. The B is mean bioeconomy. You have to look back to your biomaterial you have in your country. For example, in Thailand, we may focus on the bamboo, on the bioplastic, something like that. You have to back to the biomaterials. And circular economy, you have to circulate your resource each other. You have to share, you have to enhance or re-enhance your materials like a circulate economy. And then you have to care, you have to mind about the green economy because your material, your products will be back to your daily life effect that we have to care about the green economy. That is the BCG model in Thailand. And you can see the relationship between BCG, Thailand 4.0. Thailand 4.0 is the top level of policy in Thailand that given by the Thai governments. And you can see the BCG model is linked to SDG, to SCP, and also STI. STI means science, technology, and innovation. And for the BCG, we have three domains like a concept. The first is the inclusive growth. Second is circular society. And the third is value-based economy with science and innovation. For how to transform your products to new things or innovation, you have to operate based on the digital technology or like a reduce, refurbish, or enhancement and sharing, recycle or upcycle, or zero waste. Everything you use, you have to deliver the knowledge. You have to share some knowledge for your people to share not only content, not only knowledge, but also share the experience, how to use, how to improve your knowledge, your content in the real life. And nowadays, we may play on, this is the themes that the RAVTE, I also from the RAVTE. The RAVTE may place on the four themes that is related to the SDG. The first is the work-based learning for next education. The second is digital transformation and automation 4.0 and green TVET for SDG. And everything is based on the collaboration network platform like a UNESCO network and RAVTE or AUN, something like that. We have to do together like a network. And I may focus on the digital transformation. And we have the 6th stage of the digital transformation. At first, we do the usual business like semi-analog and semi-digital, and then actively and presently use the digital transformation, and then formalize them from analog to digital at all, and will be the transformation strategically, and then converge to every system in the organization, and you will get the innovation and adapt fully your digital transformation. That you may got the 6 domains to develop from the 6 stages and the strategy, organization, culture, technology, and customer, and also people. You have to mind about how to let them know, how to let them learn about the digital technology domain by domain. You have to do with the strategically roadmap. So the last, I may get your question about what is the next, then, and how in your future, in your near future, you may get new things in your classroom, in your life, but and how to use them in your life, in your country. in the context of you are the teacher, how you use the digital technology, how you use the digital for the authors, I mean students, how to let them know about the digital technologies, the positive thing, positive side and negative sides. Everything we have two sides, positive and negative. You have to control them as well. In maybe in the future, the teacher is not human anymore because students can learn from Google, can learn from website, can learn from YouTube. You can see the some contents may be published from Harvard University or Cambridge. They also publish in the YouTube, and your student can learn from that. But what about you? You are a teacher, but what have to do right now? You have to update your content by also learn from that content and maybe update your new things and teach your student like a new style, not only the past style. That is my talk for today. Thank you very much.
Yes, true. Is it audible? Can I use this mic? All right. So yeah, thank you, Dr. Pakon Kiat, for your enlightening speech. I do agree of your presentations that we learn a lot from Thailand regarding your transformation, especially regarding the agriculture sector. Yeah, of course, many of the countries now struggling with the food security. So it's good to learn from Thailand. And also, I do agree of some aspect, which is the challenges, not only focusing on the students and also the lecturers, but also the curriculum. I know that some of us are not really ready for that in terms of facilities because we need to invest more on the equipment and devices. So now, yeah, we have around more than 300 participants online virtually with us today. And thank you for being here. And now we are moving forward to the question and answer session. So if you have any questions, so I will open for the opportunity for you to raise your hand, and maybe you would like to raise your questions through the platform, Zoom platform, or you can also write down your questions on the chat box here. All right, so yeah, there is a few questions there. So I will just pick a few because we don't have much time. And yeah, I'm trying to scroll it up. Okay, Dr. Pakongkia, this is one question from Mr. Saripudin. Yeah? Mr. Saripudin, he asked about what is the Thailand strategy in strengthening the synergy between industry and vocational education? Maybe you would like to give some response on that question?
Okay, that is a good question. In my university, the university policy is enforce every teacher to work together with the industry, because the industry, you can get the new experience and your new real application, not only the theory. In the real application, then the teacher have to we call that the mobility, talent mobility, and the teacher will bring students together and do some project to the industry, and then the student will get the new experience like a senior project. And the for student is senior project, but for teacher is the research, but do the same the same problem. That problem is maybe solved for the industry, but the look back for student and teacher, we will get the new content, new experience that we can apply from theory to the real application. That's our university policy, and every university also the same policy, because the Thai government enforced that policy to every university. Yes, I hope in here maybe get that policy in soon.
Okay, thank you for your response and answer, Dr. Pakongkiat. So it means that there is specific policy regarding the collaboration between industries and institutions, right? Okay, so we move to the next question. So, and then this question is regarding is there any special program for upskilling teachers in Thailand? So can you share any?
Okay, look back for our target industry. We have 10 industry, for example, robotics or automation. And you can see when you taught your student, maybe your student may graduate maybe 5 or 10 years ago, they can programming, but it's not robotics. But right now we have new program. Maybe you can, at first you can sense what they want to learn, Not only you think, you have to got they want to learn, what they want to learn. And then talk each other and then set the course for them, not for us. Set the course for them. And you have to talk the industry. What you want your people be. Some industry want the people to be the innovator or researcher or just operator. Then the course is differently. You have to sense the requirements. And at first you have to talk to the industry. That's what I did.
Right, so thank you, Mr. Bakonka. You mentioned, I do agree that we have to analyze first the needs of the teachers, right?
Right.
So as you mentioned that it's very interesting that some teachers like to be an expert in teaching,
Yeah.
but some others would like to be innovators.
Yeah.
So the trainings might be different for each of the
Yes.
people. Right. So let's move again. We still have time. Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for giving your insights and questions. This is a really active session. So the next question is really interesting. Is regarding I think it's more on the cybersecurity. Yeah, from Wayan Ratnata, and then the question is about the criminal act using digital technology is higher right now, even in various sectors. So in this regard, have you developed learning how to address criminal using digital technology for Tibet teachers in Thailand perspective?
So actually, the digital technology is come to us fastly, maybe too fast. We also got some problem about how to address your technology to your people. I mean, kids, younger or people. We also got some problem about that. That's we have to manage how to allow them to access some content and look back to in the classroom. I may suggest that which platform that you accept to do that. In Thailand, we also have some platform like a online platform for teacher, like based on the Microsoft Team or Zoom. We also can learn from the Zoom. And nowadays, at first stage, in the initiative of COVID-19, every student is not recognized about the Zoom, and they're boring about the learning from the Zoom through the Zoom. But nowadays, they have to learn event content get from teacher to the student. They have to learn not only in the classroom, not only in the Zoom meeting, but you have to learn outside. We will get them learn from our sources. We will get them some resources, and then you have to learn in outside of the class, and maybe you challenge them some new assignment. And another thing that I told you, we should change your teaching style. Not only give the content first, but give challenge first. And the student would like to hear what you want, what they want to listen. Then you have to talk what they want to listen. That's very important. If you talk what you want to talk, and then your student is boring your content.
Okay. Just a follow-up question from Wayanatnata, regarding the criminal act and security. This is my question on the Thailand perspective on how actually you validate the content in terms of the copyright. So we are dealing with the copyrights, and the contents must be in a good in terms of the curriculum, the content. It will achieve the learning outcome. So how do you do that in your institution?
In my university, we may focus on the ethics. The ethics is the best knowledge for every student to mind about what it the copyrights. Because when you give them some reports, that style, copy and paste report. That is our challenge. And the teacher have hard work to recheck and let them know that is wrong. And then how to write. This is the teacher responsible. How to write in the right way, not copy and paste. The teacher is the first person to guide, to coach, but not teach. Just guide them, just raise some example to them, and maybe coach them how to write. That is our challenge.
Yeah, I do agree with you on the copyright, and then the students copy others' work, right?
Yeah.
So if you have 5 or 10 students, it's okay for you. But if you have more than that, so it's quite a burden to the lecturer.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we have one more last question. It's from Mr. Wasimuddin. Yeah, he mentioned about talking about the challenges in TV education. What is the relationship between courseware and facilities and employability? So there are 3 important components there.
Okay, that is another good question. In our university, I think maybe in Thai university, try to use we call the industrial language. It means your equipment in your classroom is someday is too old to learn to do in your job, but somehow we change the classrooms not only in university, but perhaps the classroom maybe in the industry. It means you can practice your lab in your industry. If you have some partner, you have to talk to your partners. And then in my case, some contents in the practice, maybe I don't want to buy the equipment. Today I buy equipment, and then 5 years is cannot do and cannot operate anymore. But in the industry, this is updates equipment day by day. Just move your student to the industry and do the practice to them in the industry. That this is the better equipment, and this is update equipment day by day.
Yeah, I really 100% agree with that. Second that. So send our students to industries better than teach them at institution.
Not only internship, also subject you can let them move. Maybe some hours you can move your student in your industry, and let them see at first. Let them do something, some parts.
Practice, right?
Yes, right.
So we do have time for another question. Last question, or shall we start now? Yeah, all right. So I think that's we come to the end of this first session for today, keynote speaker one. So I, on behalf of organizer and the committee, would like to thank Mr. Pakongkiat, Dr. Pakongkiat, for spending your time here. It's very fruitful discussions and presentation. And I will say thank you for everyone for your cooperation and be patient with us through this session. So thank you, everyone. So let's over back to the MC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a notable discussion from Dr. Parkunkiat. Hopefully, we all can take notes from this to expand our horizons. We would like to thank professional technologist Dr. Afer Ismail for leading these sessions, and to thank you to Dr. Pakunkia for a wonderful discussion. As means of appreciation, we present to you a token of appreciation given by the Dean and the Vice Dean of FPTK. For the committee, please do assist us for the documentation.
Now, we will have a parallel session. For the presenter, please join a breakout room, and participant may choose any room you are interested in. And kindly remind you, there will be attendance and exit form the participant should fill out in each session. Certificates are only given to participants who complete the agenda to the end of the conference.
Please take note that after the lunch break at 1 p.m. West Indonesian time, we will hold a plenary session from our other keynote speakers and a special announcement at the end of the conference. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice lunch and see you in the plenary sessions. Thank you.
For the participant, please join a breakout room. For the presenter, please join the breakout rooms and participant may choose any rooms you are interested in. Once again, for the presenter, please join a breakout rooms and participant may choose any room you are interested in. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome you again at the 7th UPI Conference 2022 in conjunction with the 2022 RAVTE annual meeting.
So, Nabila, before we start, should we have a little bit of interactions with our participants for today?
That's a good idea, Davin.
So, how about we ask a little bit of reactions? Maybe can our participants turn on their cameras first?
Yes.
We continue.
Please turn on your cameras. For the participants, please do turn on your cameras.
Thank you very much. And the participants, maybe some of you cannot turn on your camera, it's okay. But can you please give us a little bit of reaction? Maybe do some hearts emoticon, give us some love, give us some confettis, and you can also give us some applause with the reaction chat.
Please give us a reaction. I want to saw a lot of love on the Zoom. Please.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, we have one love.
There are some loves in the Zoom. Thank you very much.
Okay, and also please write down in the chat box your Instagram account so that each of us can get into the contact. Please drop down your Instagram account on the chat box like this. Please, for everyone to write down your Instagram account.
It's okay, everyone. You don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to be shy. We are here to get to know each other. We are here to communicate with each other. So if you want to promote your Instagram, you can do so on the chat box.
Yes, that's right. Please write down in the chat box your Instagram account.
And also, while we wait, we would like to announce a little bit of things regarding the certificates. So the people officially, the participants will be given to those fully attend this conference. Lastly, the announcement for the best presenter will be announced at the end of the conference. So please stay tuned for this conference and fill in your attendance list. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be a pity to stop featuring remarkable research now. For that reason, we would like to present the second keynote speaker for today's event, Dr. Mumu Komaro from UPI Indonesia. In this session, Ms. Ana Ramdhani will be the leader for the discussion.
Mrs. Ana is the lecturer in the Architectural Engineering Education, Universitas Pendidikan, Indonesia. Her abundant experience is highlighted in her research areas of discussion, namely TVET and architectural engineering, and much more. For Mrs. Ana, time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Davin and Nabila, for the warm welcome. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all participants who have been present in this conference since the beginning. And welcome back to the participants in the 7th UPI International Conference on Technical and Vocational Education and Training 2022. And also, congratulations for all presenters who have successfully presented your papers in the earlier session. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. And it is such an honor to be the second moderator for the second plenary session in this conference. Now, before we begin, I would like to give an intro before we start the plenary session. So as we know, the Industrial Revolution and rapid changes in technological advances have brought us to the digitalization era. Many sectors become increasingly reliant on technology, which changes the qualification for the workers and the skills they must possess when entering the workforce. To keep up with the ever-changing demands, TVET institutions must change the way they operate and incorporate the use of technology in their curriculum. Therefore, we wish to have a comprehensive discussion on the digitalization on TVET, which is the main theme of the 7th UPI International Conference and on technical and vocational education and training 2022. My name is Anara Sari, and I'll be guiding our session for the next 2 hours. Now, before we begin, I would like to introduce Dr. Mumu Komaro. So, Dr. Mumu is already here with us today. Good afternoon, Dr. Mumu. So, before we begin, I would like to read the short profile of Dr. Mumu. So, Dr. Mumu Komaro is an associate professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, Universitas Pendidikan, Indonesia. His expertise includes learning media, material science, and engineering. He obtained his master's degree in material engineering from Institut Teknologi Bandung and his doctorate degree in technical and vocational education from Universitas Pendidikan, Indonesia. Throughout his career, he has received multiple research grants from various resources, including the Ministry of Research and Higher Education. He has authored many publications, and some of his newest and notable publications include Analysis of Engine Fuel Injection System in 2014 BJ Type 2 motorcycle in the Journal of Engineering Education Transformations in 2020, the development of interactive multimedia to overcome difficulties in isomorphous binary phase diagram learning material in the International Journal of Applied Science and Technology in 2020, and the development of Android-based multimedia to improve student learning outcome in crystal structure subject of engineering material course in the Journal of Engineering Education Transformations in 2022. He currently serves as the member of Indonesia Vocational Lecturers and Teachers Associations, or ADGVI, and a member of Indonesian Association of Technical Vocational Education, or APTEKindo. And on this occasion, Dr. Mumu will deliver a presentation titled Digitalization on TVET as an effective learning material and media. Now, before we begin, I would like to remind you to turn off your microphone while the session is ongoing. And if you have any question along the way, please do not hesitate to write down your question in the chat box, and I will read them on your behalf by the end of the presentation. But if you wish to ask Dr. Momo directly, you can do so by raising your hand by the end of the presentation. Now, without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Momo to deliver his speech on the podium. So, Dr. Momo, the stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, especially committee, chairwoman committee, maybe, Ibu Mustika. I hope you be a professor soon like your father. Member of committee, especially Ibu Ana as moderator, Davin and team, and MC and our hair. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair. Alhamdulillah. Praise the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praises be to Allah, Lord in the world, in the Lord, in the day after the judgment. Yeah, after maybe. First of all, I want to introduce my name first, maybe. I hope Pak Ramdhani to show. Okay. As we see, there is a symbol here. Whatever symbol, we call it mu. Or okay, thank you. This one. Okay. We call it mu for friction, friction coefficient. Or we call it micro, like a micrometer and so on. And then there is mu for physics coefficient. Okay. And then the second symbols, okay, like apostrophe, we call it comma. Okay. And then like a density, right? Okay, we call it raw. Okay. Okay. So if we write down like here, okay, or mu mu, okay, comma raw. Okay, thank you. That's my name. My father give me the name like a symbol. Physics symbol maybe. Allahumma ghfir lahu warhamhu wa'afihi wa'fu anhu. My father passed away. Allahumma ghfir lahu warhamhu wa'afihi wa'fu anhu. Allahumma ghfir lahu warhamhu wa'afihi wa'fu anhu. I think that's my name. And maybe if we study AutoCAD, we can use the mirror maybe. If we write down Mumu and then mirror, it's be umum. So you can call me Kang Umum maybe. Just don't call me WC Umum maybe in Indonesia. Okay. Or for especially boy and man, we like Manchester United. We call it MU. So we can call me MU or double MU. I think it will be better if you call me Mr. Mew Mew atau Mr. Double MU and so on. And I've ever I've ever talked to someone come from Finland. She called me Mr. Mew Mew. It doesn't matter for me. Okay, that's my line. Okay, next we enter our paper. Okay. Okay. Digitalization on TVET as an effective learning material and media. Okay, it's double MU, Omaro. Okay, I'm from Department Mechanical Engineering. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, the focus is something freezing in our mind for learning media and materials. First, must be beneficial, and the second, have a kindness, and the second, and the third, maybe reward it. The next. Whatever's the beneficial, of course, it's for ourselves, for yourself, and the second for our institution, maybe for the people, for the student, and so on. Okay, for myself or for yourself, maybe we can get the teaching materials, learning media, cumulative point for lecture and so on, or teacher and so on, and intellectual property rights and so on. and the institution. Maybe we can get learning materials also. Dissemination of knowledge, sample of kindness, recognition, and so on. What? Okay, this is the example of product for learning media that makes an impression, I hope. For the first, we can get the learning media certificate article. First of all, I want to, as you are here, as I have asked my student in my class, I think the pan. My question, this fan made of iron, or we call it stainless steel. My question, in this stainless steel, there is the structure. Maybe it's review for us. In mechanical engineering, there is a subject, material engineering. In stainless steel, there is the structure inside. And the structure, it will be different in low temperature and high temperature. My question, in the structure, how many volume of atom in this material, in the lattice, the smallest lattice? Are you still remember it, Ibu Ana?
I don't really remember that part.
In mechanical engineering, material engineering. I still remember, I still forget maybe. Is there someone answer it? And I've asked my student in my class, how many volume of atom in this lattice? My student asked, there is one volume of atom. Another answered 2 volume of atom. Another 3, another 4, and so on. After that, I saw the media. Maybe can you show the animation? Okay. Ramdini, thank you. As we know, the stainless steel in low temperature have a lattice, the smallest lattice, BCC, base center cubic. In the highest temperature, it will be FCC, base center cubic. So in the low temperature, it will be BCC, base center cubic. Wait for a minute. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Next. Okay. Scroll down and next. Okay. Okay. My student here. This media
animasi yang dapat dipelajari berulang-ulang. Selamat menggunakan. Silahkan klik pada setiap menu yang sudah disediakan.
You can choose. Okay. You can choose the body center cubic. Okay. Okay.
Sel satuan kubus pusat badan atau body centered kubik.
Okay. Okay. If we see it in microscope, we can see like it. Okay. My question. Okay, my question. To get the volume of atom in the
Volume atom yang dimiliki sel satuan.
Many volume of atom. Okay.
Karena volume atom yang berada di luar kubus adalah milik sel satuan BCC yang lainnya. Maka dari itu, untuk mengetahui jumlah volume atom per sel satuan BCC, diperlukan gambar sel satuan BCC berbentuk kubus yang didapat dari hasil pemotongan sel satuan BCC yang utuh. Berdasarkan gambar tersebut, maka jumlah volume atom per sel satuan BCC sama dengan 1/8 dikali 8 ditambah 1 sama dengan 2 atom. 1/8 adalah volume atom pada tiap sudut kubus. 8 adalah jumlah sudut kubus. 1 adalah atom yang berada di pusat kubus.
Okay. Set an example about the volume of atom in this material, in low structure, in low temperature. But in the high temperature, it will be it's easy. You can out. Okay. So the answer is 2 volume of atom in the structure. Okay. Can show it.
Berikut adalah sel satuan face-centered kubik.
Face center cubic in high temperature. Okay. For the volume of atom. Okay.
Volume atom yang dimiliki sel satuan FCC adalah volume atom yang berada di dalam kubus. Karena volume atom yang berada di luar kubus milik sel satuan FCC yang lainnya. Maka dari itu, untuk mengetahui jumlah volume atom sel satuan FCC, diperlukan gambar sel satuan FCC berbentuk kubus yang didapat dari hasil pemotongan sel satuan FCC yang utuh. Berdasarkan gambar tersebut, maka jumlah volume atom per sel satuan FCC sama dengan 1/8 dikali 8.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this media
1/2 dikali 6
have made by student
dengan 4 atom.
And for them,
1/8
the
adalah
final project, we call it skripsi.
8 adalah jumlah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for the sound. Okay. Okay, next presentation. Okay, set the sample of media here. Media. For the structure of atom. mechanical engineering, especially metal. Okay, thank you. We continue for people here. Okay, with the media, we can get the article, national seminar proceeding, international seminar proceeding, national journal, credit, and none. And the fourth, we can get the international journal reputably. And the last, you can get the Scopus Index International Journal. Thank you, I'm so sad. Okay. Okay. This is the list of example of an infringing learning media. Okay, for the first, animation multimedia, Android-based multimedia, video-based media, AR, we call it augmented reality, okay, or virtual reality. For the multimedia animation, I always call it MMA. Absorb December, okay. For atomic crystal structure MMA, and the second atomic sliding plane MMA, atomic crystal defect MMA, phase diagram MMA. For the Android-based multimedia, we call it mobile learning. Okay, they sample like mobile learning of atomic crystal structure. For the first sample in the computer, and this is by handphone, right? Using Android. Okay, the second mobile learning of atactic phase diagram, mobile learning from pharytactic phase diagram. Another like video-based media for let's learning and so on. Augmented reality, maybe there's the sample about it. Okay, there's the connection to another. Okay, for higher education, virtual reality and so on. Okay. Okay, we can set bibliometric here. Okay, about augmented reality. Okay, started from 2006. Okay, until now. Okay, still increase. Okay, about the publication and citation here. Okay, about research productivity based on subject area or augmented reality. Yeah. Okay. And computer science, social science, engineering subject area, mathematics, decision science, and then so on. Okay, next sample of multimedia. Okay, atomic crystal structure. Okay. Okay. Before I want to show you the multimedia based Android. Okay, okay. Okay. This is wait a minute. I'm so sorry. This is a multimedia Android based about the face diagram here. We can see about the information here. Okay. Introduction. I'm so sorry, still in Indonesia. Okay. Drawing, account, and evaluation. Okay. For the information, we can see. Okay. Okay, we can see the aim of study, specification, okay, profile, and so on. We can draw the okay. We can draw the diagram. We can account of phase diagram, percentage how many percent of phase for its temperature and so on, and then we can get the phase of diagram. Okay. Okay. We can count. Okay. Maybe for example here. Okay. We can draw an account for phase diagram, presentation of phase for its temperature and so on. Okay. Okay. I'm so sorry. Example for mechanical engineering or material science or material engineering here. Okay. And this is for stainless steel here. How many percent of its face here? Okay. Right. Oops. Next. Okay. Hold on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, especially my student, teacher, and my the youngest lecturer here. don't worry. If we do something, maybe something small, but we can do something useful for us, for our student, for another, and we can do something useful for our life, the real our life after dies maybe. So we have, if we do like it, and then we upload in YouTube and so on. Although after die, we hope it will be used for another, and we can get the reward from my God, Allah. Although we can the day after the judgment, maybe. Okay. Please. Okay. Okay. This is the sample. Okay. Next. Okay. The sample that we saw. Okay. Hold on. This is from the journal. What I've done about it. Okay, about the atomic crystal structure. We get the result. Okay, if we use the MMA structure multimedia here, we get and gain higher than without MMR here. Okay, without MMR gets can hear about 0.61, okay, in medium category. But if we use the MMA about the atomic crystal structure here, it will be higher, okay, on 0.94. Okay, this is the last that's the research. Okay, next. Another sample about MMA here. It's about atomic sliding plan. Okay, in MMA. Okay. Can you just open the application? Okay, about the sliding. Okay. This application made by student for final project. We call it scriptsy. Okay. Maybe this is small, but I hope it will be give you something useful for our life after the death. We can get the media, we can get HKI for each. Maybe Pak Rector give us about 2,500,000 rupiah for it, for the first. And article, Scopus Journal article, Pak Rector give us about 20 million rupiah using this media. So for you are here, a student, teacher, we can get like it. Don't worry. Don't think it's about, don't think it too small. We can start with this small, but improve and improve. So it will be bigger and bigger. I hope it will be more useful for us and for another. Okay. select.
Untuk melihat pengaruh bidang geser, perhatikan contoh animasi proses pengerolan FE di bawah ini. Logam FE pada suhu normal kurang dari 910 derajat Celcius memiliki sel satuan BCC. Pergeseran atom yang mungkin terjadi pada sebuah atom dengan mengikuti sistem gesernya ada 12 kemungkinan. Sehingga pergerakan atomnya akan sedikit lambat dan proses pengerolannya pun sedikit lambat seperti pada animasi. Untuk lebih memudahkan proses pengerolan, maka sel satuan dari Fe harus dirubah terlebih dahulu dari BCC menjadi FCC. Untuk merubah struktur kristal Fe dari sel satuan BCC menjadi FCC, maka suhu pada Fe harus dinaikkan pada temperatur di antara 910 sampai dengan 1350 derajat Celcius. Pada pengerolan material Fe, dengan sel satuan FCC akan lebih mudah dibentuk dibandingkan pada kondisi sel satuan BCC. Hal ini dikarenakan pergeseran atom yang mungkin terjadi pada sebuah atom dengan mengikuti sistem gesernya pada FCC lebih banyak, yaitu ada 24 kemungkinan. Sehingga atom lebih cepat bergeser dan proses pengerolan lebih cepat seperti pada animasi.
So we can compare it. The high temperature will be easier here. Okay. Maybe in Indonesia, we also see it in pandai besi. What called buana pandai besi in English? Pardon? Thank you. Okay. Next. Okay. This is sample about the atomic sliding plan, yeah. Okay. And then, okay. This is the reason, okay. In the low temperature, the stainless steel is difficult to mix something because the sliding plan just sick. But in the high temperature, in the right side, it will be 8, and the system will be 3. So the original be 24 system. And the low temperature just 6 times to 2. So this just 12 be 24. To time more easier here if we make the temperature higher. Okay, this one. Okay, this one. Okay. The next sample is about atomic crystal defect in my hair. Okay, can you open the application? Maybe for the last sample application.
Selamat datang di multimedia animasi cacat kristal. Multimedia animasi ini berisi materi mata kuliah material teknik, khususnya pada materi cacat kristal. Materi yang disajikan pada multimedia ini berupa animasi dilengkapi dengan teks. Selamat menggunakan.
Jenis. Oh.
Susunan atom.
Okay.
Susunan atom terbagi menjadi dua jenis,
There is a
yaitu
defect here.
susunan atom sempurna dan susunan atom tidak sempurna atau cacat
We call
kristal.
it defect atomic
Cacat kristal
structure here.
terbagi ke dalam 4 jenis,
There is
yaitu
point defect.
cacat titik,
Okay.
cacat garis, cacat bidang, dan cacat ruang.
Defect.
Cacat titik terbagi ke dalam 5 jenis, yaitu
Point defect.
cacat kekosongan, cacat sisipan, cacat penggantian, cacat Schottky, dan cacat Frankel.
Okay.
Cacat garis terbagi ke dalam 3 jenis, yaitu cacat garis sisi, cacat garis ulir, dan cacat garis gabungan. Cacat bidang terbagi ke dalam 2 jenis, yaitu cacat batas butir dan cacat garis kembar. Selanjutnya, silakan Anda pilih salah satu menu yang telah disediakan.
Pilih cacat kekosongan. Oke. Terus bawah ya. Oke, ya.
Cacat kekosongan.
Oke, vacancy ya.
Perhatikan animasi berikut.
So we can imagine the atom, the smallest atom here.
Terdapat susunan atom kristal di mana ada 2 posisi atom yang ditandai dengan warna hijau. Coba Anda tuliskan apa yang terjadi.
You have around 2 minutes to wrap up your presentation, Dr. Momo.
Okay. Thank you. Please, closing it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Time is off, maybe. Maybe I repeat, especially for my student, for my friend in school, as a teacher, we can do something about the digitalization, especially in our school, media, material learning, and so on. Don't worry, although we make something small, but we improve and improve, so day by day it will be better and better. I hope it give the more useful for our life, for another, and so on. So I hope it will be amal jariyah for the day after we die. Maybe for the was. I think that's all. Thank you, Paramlan.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Mo, for the interesting presentation. Now, I noticed that you showed a lot of interesting learning medias along the way in your presentation. And I assume that that's the result of your collaboration with the final year students, right, Dr. Momoya? I have to admit that your learning media and the subject that you teach is not really familiar for me. So I am unable to answer your question earlier, but I'm sure that we have learned something from your presentation. And I especially agree about your point that learning media should be beneficial and should be impactful. And disseminating our teaching materials and our students' works can especially helpful in building the arguments and then verifying the facts and the findings that we found when we are teaching, and then motivate our students to share their ideas to the public. So thank you so much for the presentation and for the interesting learning media that you show. Now we are entering the Q&A session. For all the participants, if you have any questions, please write down your question in the chat box and I will read them on your behalf. But if you wish to ask your question directly to Mr. Momo, you can do so by using the raise hand feature in the Zoom. So we already have one question from Bu Aji. So the question is, as an educator myself, I often hear students react positively to video-based media such as YouTube tutorials, but unfortunately, there are some concern that video-based learning media will gradually replace the role of teachers as they are more accessible and more convenient. What is your opinion about that?
Okay. Thank you. What's
Uh, this is from Wu Aji.
Okay. Saya educated myself about it.
So the question would be,
Okay. Thank you, Ibu Archie, okay, for your question, the good question. Yeah, teacher. We can do something nice to my student. Do something, teach something good to my student. The good value, right? Okay, for the first. So, purpose we as a teacher must teach educational value for the person. Although in YouTube and so on, if we make a video in YouTube, learning media and so on, for the first, we have to dakwah maybe, okay, for
spreading the good words.
Yeah, okay, for the first. So, educational value is something important here. Okay. The second, we have to follow the rules of the learning tool also. Okay. Like plan the teaching program and so on. Media rules for evolution also. There are many rules of it. Also in YouTube, media learning and so on. So something important here is the educational value to transfer to my student by us as a teacher. That's something important.
Okay. So I agree with your points actually, because like in education, we're not only teaching the content, but also the good message and how to educate our kids, our children, and our students to be a better profession of themselves when they are learning. Thank you so much for the answer. Now I noticed something interesting in your presentation about augmented reality. So you mentioned earlier about that augmented reality can be one of the learning media. But I want to ask, why is it that we haven't adopted any augmented reality in most of our classes? Is there any obstacles that so we cannot implement augmented reality in our classroom?
Yeah. Of course. Thank you for the second question. Augmented reality used as a learning media day by day, years by years, more and more. Because it's something interesting, especially for mechanical engineering or engineering subject. I've do the research using the augmented reality. For example, there is the engine, and we want to know the inside the engine. So we can take one and one using the augmented reality. Okay, without touch the engine, but we can imagine inside the engine, part of engine, every part, each part. We can take. Okay, we can see the volume and so on, and we can using it in our class. Okay, for the first maybe we can install augmented reality and our handphone, for example. Okay, and then take the photograph or picture. Okay, to using the application. If our student have no handphone and so on, we can make like a video for them. Okay, using the program, make a video, and in the class we can show that using the video that we have made. And the second, maybe we can do for our student. All of student install the augmented reality, and then give them the picture. So of them can use the application using the picture that they have got maybe in them class in the class. I mean, okay. I think so. It can do with two way. Okay, with the video and download the application for its student. I think.
Yeah, augmented reality is very helpful actually, not only in mechanical engineering, but also in architecture, medical field as well. And you can actually imagine something that is not in front of us and probably can be expensive if we bring to our class, but it is possible with augmented reality. But by the end of the day, it really depends on the teacher's proactive and actions. So how we are as lecturers to be active and to be creative in adopting the learning media, including the augmented reality. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's the really interesting discussion, but unfortunately we already ran out of time. So we have reached the end of our session. Dr. Momo, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your insightful presentation with us and for the fruitful discussion. Now, as the closing remark, I would like to highlight some key points from the presentation and the discussion we had earlier. So first, learning media and teaching materials should be beneficial for teacher as the creator, the students, institutions, and possibly other people. Second, to make learning media that leaves impression, it can be registered for intellectual property rights or submitted as article in academic journal. And lastly, even though learning media can be helpful in our teaching, but it is important that we have to prioritize the educational value and the character education for our students. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Momo, and for this audience for your undivided attention in this session. And thank you for having me. I apologize for any inconvenience and any technical problems along the way. That's the end of the second keynote speaker. Thank you so much, and I will roll back the session to the MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for your hair.
Ladies and gentlemen, our discussion with Dr. Momo Kamaran was truly noble. Hopefully, we all can take the intuitive notion given through this. As a sign of gratitude, we thank you Mrs. Hana for leading the discussion, and for the honored Dr. Mombokomaro. As such, we would like to present the certificate. And certificate will be given by Vice Dean. For the committee, please do the documentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to present our last keynote speaker for today, Mr. Wilson Lima Junia from UNEVA, Germany. In this session, Ms. Anna will once again moderate our third keynote speaker. So Ms. Anna, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Nabila and Davin, for welcoming us again. And I hope you feel refreshed after watching the video profile of RAVTE UP. Now we're entering the third and the last session of the plenary session. And as mentioned, we will have Mr. Wilson Lima Jr. as the third and final speaker for this conference. And we already have Mr. Wilson here with us in the virtual room. And I heard that you are joining from Brazil. Is that right, Dr. Wilson, Mr. Wilson?
First of all, good afternoon. And this is correct. I'm joining from Brazil, and it's now 3 o'clock in the morning here. And it's a privilege to be with you today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really early there in Brazil, but I really appreciate your willingness to come and attend our conference to share some interesting ideas and insight for our conference. So before we begin our session, I'm going to read the short profile from Mr. Wilson Lima Jr. So Mr. Wilson Lima Jr. serves as a project manager at UNESCO UNEVO, where he is part of the Innovation and Future of TVET team, managing the Bridging Innovation and Learning of TVET, or BILT project. And he has authored articles on a variety of topics, including TVET, technical cooperation, and offsets. He is a TVET graduate from the Brazilian National Service for Industrial Training, SENAI, and received his MBA from the FEAD Centro de Gesto Empreendedora Belo Horizonte. His diploma in Contra-Trade and Offsets was awarded by the École Supérieure des Sciences Économiques et Commerciales. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. Prior to his current assignment, he served as industrial development specialist in SENAI, where he is participated in the implementation of the Innovation Institute's network and was in charge of managing the provision of TVET services for Brazilian companies operating abroad. He has also held positions in international organizations such as the United Nations Development Program and the United Nations Population Fund. So I hope that you are ready to present, Mr. Wilson. And just a quick reminder that you will have around 20 minutes to give your speech. And for all the participants, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to write down your questions in the chat box. And and you can raise your hand if you wish to ask your questions directly to Mr. Wilson. So, Mr. Wilson, are you ready to give your presentation?
I am, yes.
Okay. All right. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Wilson to deliver his speech, and the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. And once again, good afternoon for all you in Indonesia, and good evening for people from across the globe. Good morning if you are in Europe. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And in the person of Professor Sulehudin, I would like to congratulate all the authorities, all the teachers, students, business representatives that are with us today. And thank you, Professor Sulehudin, for the privilege to give UNEVOC the opportunity to participate in the 7th UPI TVET event. So thank you very much. And if you allow me, I will now share my screen with you. Just a second, please. So I think you have it in front of you now. And yeah, as I said, as in this very accurate introduction that was given, I'm here today representing UNESCO UNEVOC. And maybe a few words about UNESCO UNEVOC for those which don't know the organization. UNESCO UNEVOC is the International Center for Technical Vocational Education and Training. It's the only specialized center from UNESCO that's dedicated to TVET. We are currently based in Bonn, where we have the support from the German government. And among other things, UNESCO UNEVOC contributes, of course, to the Sustainable Development Goals and, of course, for the UNESCO TVET strategy. And here, I would like just to highlight one single aspect about the UNESCO TVET strategy. On the 25th of October, the new TVET strategy will be launched, and it's a topic that it's of interest of all of you, all of TVET practitioners. So I invite you to join us and to get in touch and keep updated about the invitation, about the participation modalities for the launching of TVET strategy. And lastly, but not least important, UNESCO UNEVOC manages the only global network of TVET institutions. So nowadays, we count with 226 institutions from TVET providers, national authorities, ministries, and government. And they are located in 150 countries. So it's truly a global network of TVET practitioners that catalyze the work that we do in Bonn at UNESCO UNEVOC. And of course, it's our most important source of knowledge, of experience, and of content on TVET. And of course, I invite your institution to know a little bit more about the UNEVOC network and understand the benefits of joining this global TVET network. And following this brief presentation of UNESCO UNEVOC, I would like to start moving to our topic today, that's digitalization, the digitalization in TVET. And I would like to start with this quote, or with this conclusion. It's because it's the same time very broad, very general, and it's relevant for the themes that we are discussing today. So we have here written that the basic fact, it's that technology, and here we can replace technology by digitalization if we want. We understand that it eliminates jobs, not work. So the technological changes have caused and will continue to cause displacement throughout the economy. So this is a conclusion about digitalization, and I think most of you agree with that. We are talking about jobs being eliminated, but the work is still there. The work for the skilled people, for the skilled workforce, it's still there. But what's interesting about this conclusion here, it's that it's not something that was done last year or 5 years ago by people that were researching artificial intelligence or augmented reality or virtual reality. This conclusion was reached in 1956. So more than half a century ago. And here, the United States Commission for Technology, Automation, and Economic Commission from the United States Senate was analyzing the impact of the personal computer in our lives. So more than a half a century ago, they got to this conclusion, and they had a very positive conclusion. It's the conclusion that the net creation of jobs would, of course, outstrip the jobs that would be eliminated. And we know nowadays that that was really what happened. If you follow the link that you have in this slide, you can see the figures about the job creation and the job loss and what happened with the introduction of a personal computer in our in our everyday life. But so what it means is that we know that for 60 years that technology will change jobs, but not not end the work. So we know how to react to that. We know what we need to do. So this is a conclusion of hope and of confidence that we know what we need to do. But the thing, it's a little bit more dramatic now. It's more, we need to be more bold in our reaction to that, because I think the scale, the scope, the magnitude that this change, that the technological change is happening, it's very different from the past. So that's the main, I think, the main difference from more than a half a century ago to today when we analyze the technological change. It's that it's happening now, it's in a very fast pace, and it happens throughout the world. There is no place on earth that keeps at bay from the technological changes. So with that in mind, I will frame my presentation here in a very specific topic of digitalization, and understanding that digitalization is the pathway and the means that we move from automation, that a process that started 60 years ago with the introduction of mainframes in companies and the very seminal robotics in the very past. And this digitalization that will lead us to Industry 4.0, in which we have cyber-physical environments with machines talking with each other, and where the human requirement for the operation of this Industry 4.0 will be very different from today. And here we are, of course, as the previous slide showed, we have occupations or jobs that will be eliminated, and these are the occupations that are very well defined, where human subjective to decide is not necessary. So very repetitive work, that are the jobs at risk. And we also have occupations that are not at risk, that are happening in environments that are loosely structured and that involve some kind of emotional capacity and dealing with people. And here you see this figure, and it says that more than 50% of jobs in the developed country and more than 60% in developing ones will disappear in the next 20 years. So here for us, the challenge is to to tackle to tackle the challenge in the second category of jobs or occupations, these occupations that will make into the next 20 years, that will keep existing in this next 20 years. And here I would like just to bring your attention that these figures about the loss of jobs in developing countries, they are something new, something that is derived from the already consolidated study of Osborne, and that happened in 2017. So now we are having these derivations from this work involving least developing countries or emerging countries like Indonesia, like Brazil. And these figures are, I think, what we have now most up-to-date information about the situation of jobs in these countries, because they vary a bit between developing and developed countries. So this is here just for us to set the scene about where we are putting our efforts, and this effort is in these jobs that will make into the Industry 4.0. Just a second, please. And in this context of working with the jobs that will be here in the next 20 years, next 30 years, UNESCO UNEVOC is working very consistently in a very big project that's called the Bridge Innovation and Learning in TVET project. And it's a project that's implemented by UNESCO UNEVOC with the support of BIBB, that's the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training in Germany, and is sponsored by BMBF, that's the Ministry of Education and Research of Germany. So it's a project that's now in its third phase, and it's due to last until 2025, this third phase. And it's a project about a very specific theme. It's about new qualifications and competencies, and in these new qualifications and competences, we study the 3 I's. And the 3 I's are: how can we identify new qualifications and competencies in a timely manner? So what are the competencies, the skills, the attitudes, the behavior that are required for these workers of the 21st century? Once we identify these competencies or the qualifications, how do we put them into curricula that are appealing for students, that are appealing for companies, that are appealing for TVET institutions? And the third I is: how do we implement them? What is the new way to implement these new qualifications and competencies? Are we talking about smart rooms, smart classrooms, smart workshops? Are we talking about this this digital learning material that my predecessor presented here, Professor Mumu presented in his keynote speech? How do we implement these new qualifications and competencies in TVET? So basically, this project tried to understand how do we work with the 3 I's, and this is something that we will hear during my presentation, is the identification, integration, and implementation of new qualifications and competencies. And here it's worth mentioning that we work in several lines to understand how this 3 I process can be improved. So we work basically in 3 continents. We work in Europe, in Africa, and Asia. And our main goal is to promote exchange of good practice, of best practice, of innovative practices. And we do it in what we call lines, 3 lines of work. So we have the bridging line, and these are regional and global conferences. We have 4 conferences every 2 years where we promote this kind of exchange, exchange of these practices. We have the innovation line. That's the innovation line. It's about generating new knowledge. It's developing knowledge products on the 3 I's. And we have the learning line. In the learning line, we take the knowledge developed in the innovation line and we turn it into capacity building activities. So it's a process in which we promote the exchange, we identify good practices, we identify new knowledge, we systematize this knowledge, and then we put it into action through the learning line. And here, I would like to explore with you a bit about what we did in the innovation line or the knowledge generation. And we, in December 2021, we launched this 3-volume publication on new qualifications and competencies. And this publication was developed by 30 experts from across the globe, from Africa, Asia, and Europe. And basically, this 3-volume publication, we organized it we intended to understand the 3I process of the new qualifications and competencies through 3 lenses. So the lenses of the micro level institutions, so TVET providers, basically, the lenses of the meso level institution, so business organizations, trade unions, and NGOs, and also from the macro level, from the lenses of the ministries, of statutory bodies of national authorities. So we wanted to understand how these 3 groups of stakeholders, the micro, meso, and macro level, can contribute to the identification, integration, and implementation of new qualifications and competencies. Because we understand that all these institutions have a role to play in each of the 3 I's. So it's not only TVET providers that are responsible for the implementation of new qualifications and competencies. Business have a role to play there, and also, for example, ministries also have a role to play. So what we wanted to understand is how these stakeholders can contribute to TVET to make it to make TVET relevant and keep its relevance in the 21st century. And it's interesting to note here that we had many inputs related to digitalization and how the digitalization can be used, but at the same time we identified challenge for how the digitalization can help us to structure the 3I process. So just as an example, the digitalization of TVET, how can it contribute to the identification of new qualifications and competencies? We know that today we have these game-changing technologies and digital approaches that allow for the identification of new qualifications and competencies. So, for example, the European Commission is developing a web crawler that goes to a job advertise and understand what are the competencies that are being required by the private sector throughout Europe. So it's a natural learning process, a machine or tool that crawls the web and try to understand what the competencies are now being required. We have, of course, the observatories. We have many opportunities related to using digitalization to improve the way that we identify new qualifications and competencies in a very in a timely way. So it doesn't take long between the emergence of this demand and the actual implementation of that in the classroom. But that we need to tackle some issues to make the full use of these game-changing technologies. And to stay in just 2 of them, for example, we need really to work with this natural learning processing, for example, because the available data also has never been so great. So where to find the needle in the stack about the competencies that are being required with this machine? We need, with this kind of digital tools, we need to have really accurate and precise tools that will not mislead us when identifying new qualifications and competencies. And going a little bit beyond the identification of new qualifications and competence, but also forecasting in new qualifications and competence, which will be demanding in 5 to 10 years. How can we do that, making use of digitalization, if we have, for example, rigid systems that doesn't allow for updating of the teaching and learning offer, that hinder the ability of TVET providers, for example, to address these changes on new qualifications and competencies. So these game-changing technologies are there, are being developed, are improving very fast. But for that, of course, we need to do some homework in order to make full use of that. In relation to the integration of new qualifications and competencies, we need, for example, it came very strongly in our research that we have to make our curriculum more flexible. And making it more flexible, it's almost equivalent to incorporating digital elements in the curricula. So, for example, just to mention something that we need to do, if we are, for example, offering individual learning pathways to students, the digital elements can contribute to that, but it requires a very high level of management systems, of education management systems from TVET providers, because it implies a very big degree of complexity on how to provide or how to organize the teaching offer. So the hardware is there, the software is there, but we need to work on the management level really to make use of these tools and being able to offer, for example, individual learning pathways, which are a reality now in some countries, like in Finland. It's part of this of the current process to offer that to students, to migrants, to refugees. So, but it requires a lot of work in terms of skilled person in the management of the organization. And another opportunity, but also a challenge, it's the digital credentials. So how do we
Is everything okay, Mr. Hassan?
Sorry, I think my connection broke for a while,
Okay.
but I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Good. Sorry for that. So there also a challenge, but also an opportunity for TVET institutions, for example, the recognition of digital credentials across borders. It's a major issue for countries, for example, in Europe, which now have a lack of employers, lack of of skilled workforce to work in the industry, in the services sector. And they don't, in Europe, there's a lack of labor force because the skilled people are not available to work in all the vacancies that exist. So if a digital credential system was to be applied, you could have people from different countries moving to Europe and tackling a problem that exists in a very fast way without the need, for example, to take it to a very lengthy recognition process. And we have very nice examples of the recognition of digital credentials happening across the globe. For example, in Sri Lanka, there is a project with ILO in which they are not only offering, but also recognizing a passport of credentials for workers. So when they go abroad to neighboring countries, or when people from abroad come to Sri Lanka, they are able to get this digital passport of credentials and go to the labor market in a very in a much swifter way than if it didn't exist. And lastly, it's about the implementation of new qualifications and competence. I think this is where we are more familiar about the, of course, opportunities. They were extensively discussed here in our previous, with our previous keynote speaker. But it also implies challenges such as the cost of adapting the infrastructure. And I think, for example, when we are talking about augmented reality, it's not something cheap. It's not something that it's accessible to all institutions. So how to adapt the infrastructure and to improve equipment and connectivity, it's a challenge. At the same time, we were talking about the lecturers using these digital medias to impart lessons, to have the teaching and learning practice on the classrooms, but it requires from the lecturers as well that they become literate in how to develop this digital content, because they need to be they need to familiarize themselves on how to do that, because it's something that will evolve in a very fast way. And here it's a point of attention, because TVET lecturers now are being required a lot from them. They are not only required to be pedagogical seasoned, but also technical. They should have technical expertise, and now more and more they are required to have some degree of digital skills. So this is something we need to address. And of course, the practical nature of TVET is a challenge for for implementing or to disseminating digitalization in TVET, because much of the work on TVET is of a practical nature. So if I'm talking about offset printing, for example, how can you do that? How can you train someone without the touch of the paper, without the touch of the smell of the ink, without the noise of the machine? It's something that's very challenging for TVET. So coming to the end of this brief presentation, we have some takeaways here, and that's it's a positive message, and I think it's what we are working on and expecting to contribute to the discussion on TVET globally. And I will sum it up in three conclusions. The first one is that the nature of the work will change. Of course, it will change. And we should focus on the tasks that computer cannot do. So that the occupations that are not to disappear, that should be our focus of attention, because of course, computers will be there, will be more ubiquitous, will be more and more part of our everyday life. We need to provide a short line of sight between the supply and demand of new qualifications and competencies. So here, maybe we don't, one reflection is we don't need the private sector or the skills and innovation ecosystem. They cannot be understood as a demand, as a client, but they should be part of the development of the new qualifications and competence, of curricula, of the teaching and learning practice. So we should shorten this line of sight and bring private sector, the ecosystem, the skills and innovation ecosystem close to us, close to the TVET providers that are in the forefront of this change. And thirdly is lifelong learning. It's a practice. It must be a practice for everyone, because teachers, students, we need to understand that teaching and learning now is part of our everyday life. It doesn't end after we finish a course in our TVET institution. And here the point is we need to teach students how to learn, because as one of the participants asked, what about the YouTube videos? We are now in the golden age of education. We have the best teachers, philosophers, scientists, thinkers, all of them are on the internet. So we need to teach our students how to complement their education, reaching this rich content that's now available in the World Wide Web. And lastly, what I just wanted to share with you, it's something that we are piloting right now. With this knowledge that was generated in the publication, in the 3-volume publication, we are now developing what we call a self-reflection tool. So this self-reflection tool, it's dedicated to TVET providers, and with it, we aim to prompt TVET institutions to reflect how they are identifying, integrating, and implementing new qualifications and competencies. We are testing this tool, this online tool, with 10 institutions across the globe, from Africa, Asia, and Europe. And in 2023, we will disseminate it even further. And I want to leave here as a last remark, an invitation to all of you to go to our webpage, understand a little bit more about what we are doing with the self-reflection tool, and please manifest your interest in participating in this dissemination phase that will take place next year, and we'll be happy to assess the feasibility of the participation of your institution on this dissemination of the tool when the pilot is finished. So I come to an end here. I would like to thank you very much. Sorry for going a little bit beyond the time allocated for me. I thought I had a little bit more time. I hope I have not compromised your program. And I leave here with you my contacts, my personal information. So if I'm not able to answer your question or something was not clear to you, please do reach me and I will be pleased to further engage with you. Thank you very much and have a lovely afternoon and a very nice conference.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson, for the thought-provoking speech. And I agree with your statement that we must focus on the skills that could not be done by AI, and especially in the process, in the creative process, and the tasks related to emotional ability. I especially interested in your last presentation about the self-reflecting tool. So it will be really helpful for the TVET providers, including UPI and other institutions that present in this conference as well, to probably check them out, and probably we can learn something from that. Okay, so we are going to move forward to the next session, which is the question and answer session. So we already have one question from Pak Agustiawan. So his question is, what level of ICT integration needed in TVET teacher education, especially in the aspect of vocational skill development? Would you wish to answer directly to that question, Mr. Wilson? You can find the question in the chat as well.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a challenging question because we have, when we are addressing TVET, the greatest challenge is that we don't have a common, I mean, we have common features among TVET institutions, but the complexity, the size, and the organization of TVET institutions vary greatly across the globe. So, for example, we are currently in the BUILD project, we are currently working with institutions testing the self-reflection tool that have, for example, 16,000 students. That's the case of Shenzhen Polytechnic in China, for example, and we are also working with the Pakistan Network Training Institution, which have 36 students. So the degree of integration of ICT in VET, I think it's an equation that it must be incorporated as much as it generates benefits, for example, for reaching out more disadvantaged segments of the society. So this is one example. If we are talking about, for example, having digitalization to reach people in rural areas, people that are located in areas where we don't have TVET institutions, facilities for TVET institutions, that it's make all the sense to have digitalization as a strong component to integrate these least developed, least advantaged segments of the society. So there's no, I think there is no one size fits all for this answer, but I think it should be incorporated to the extent that it generates benefits not only for the TVET institutions, but mainly for the society. And this, I mean, of course, it's even more complex, this question, because digitalization has many shapes. Here we are, I'm talking about digital delivery, but what about the management of TVET institutions? What about providing, for example, convergence with general education through digitalization? So there are at least 5 lines that we could address digitalization in TVET, and I will stick to this one of the teaching and learning practice and the inclusion of the less advantaged segments of the society.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wilson. And I agree that it really depends on what benefits we want to achieve in our TVET institution. So we already have a lot of questions coming in the chat box. So apologize if I may not address your question, all of your questions. So the second question comes from, give me a minute. So come from Bufina Dwianti. The question is, with the Asian Free Trade Area being implemented and globalization of workforce taken place, we will inevitably face the skills gap of workforce resulting from different cultures and technological advances. What is the best strategy to address the issue?
Yeah, I mean, the best strategy, it's difficult for me to assess it, but I've seen very good practices in the Asian region taking place right now. So, for example, I will give you 2 elements to try to elaborate on that. The Thailand Professional Qualification Institute, TPQI, for example, is now developing or adopting a regional standard for some occupations on TVET. So it's developing, it's integrating some standards that will allow the workforce from Thailand to work in different countries from the Asian blocs and vice versa. And this is, I think, very strictly connected to what I mentioned about the digital credentials or the passport credentials that will allow the labor force to move from places where there is a lack of employment to places where there is a lack of employees. And this is, as the question rightly points to, it's a reality because we have situations that differ dramatically across the globe. We have, as I said, we have in Europe, we have very low unemployment with a lack of workforce in many countries. That's something that comes out in every conversation, every conference that I attend. And we have places where you have a lack, or we have skilled people. For example, I will bring Brazil as an example. You have lawyers or you have engineers driving Ubers or taxis because they don't have jobs in the area of expertise. So why these competencies of these people are not recognized and they are not in Europe doing the work that is missing there or occupying a place that is now free and cannot be fulfilled by the current workforce in Europe. So I think it's essential the transit of people, the migration is a trend, the migration for economic reasons, the migration for due to war, to the famine, to the natural disaster. It's something that's here to stay, and TVET can play a great role on that.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer, Mr. Wilson. Because we have limited time, I'm going directly to the third question by Bu Nurul Ilmi from UPI. So the question is, in your opinion, what strategy should students and lecturers adopt in order to build good strategy in the current challenges of TVET? So maybe the question.
Yep, no, it's okay. A good, for me, a very good strategy. It's I could sum up it with a very close collaboration with the skills and innovation ecosystem. So this is essential for us to develop TVET of high quality, TVET that meets the demand of the market, that TVET that creates entrepreneurs that can be self-employed and can fulfill the role as citizens, as professionals. We need to talk, we need TVET, it's a multi-stakeholder endeavor. It's not something that should be carried out only by the TVET providers in one room and the ministry in another room and private sector as a client. We should be together. Students must be in the companies, having using the company's workshops, understanding what machines, what equipment is used there, and what are the demands, what kind of behavior these stakeholders are demanding. And of course, TVET institutions need to understand that as well, this reality. And the students could be the channel between companies and TVET institutions, providing feedback to what's happening beyond the walls of TVET institutions. And of course, teachers can also take part on that in upskilling and reskilling in different areas, in different companies, and making this, creating this channel of knowledge between the ecosystem and the TVET institutions. So a good strategy is to strengthen the partnership with the skills and innovation ecosystem.
So yeah, I agree that collaboration is really important in TVET. So the last question would be from Obobi, Emmanuel Obobi Tetefio. So the question is, what is the best way to teach digitalization in the rural areas in a developing country like Ghana?
Like Ghana?
Yes, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah, like Ghana.
Yeah, the digitalization in places, for example, with a lack of infrastructure. What I see a very good kind of good practice happening is through two ways. The first one is the use of mobile units. So we have nowadays companies and even TVET providers specialized in developing mobile units that can reach areas of the countries where the setup of a physical TVET institution is not feasible or it's not viable. So we have these mobile units that can take many shapes and you can impart many subjects in there. So you can have a road show with that, going from village to village and enrolling people and using these mobile units as a platform for teaching. Once again, it's important to understand what are the demands, where this mobile unit should go. So this exchange of information, it's also key. And sorry to be repetitive on that, because I think the flow of data between stakeholders, it's essential for all of our work. So mobile units, it's one option. And the second one, you can have also, of course, nucleus with ICT technology that are located in cities with more dense population and people can go there, we can commute there to have this the digitalization imparted in there. But once again, it needs to make sense. It's digitalization necessary in rural areas in Ghana. If this is the case, I mean, these could be opportunities, but we should not do it as just because they are trends, because everyone is doing that, or because it's something that it's of utmost important. We need to really understand what are our necessities, and maybe sometimes a simple solution it's more important or more relevant than embark on and start teaching, for example, robotics, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and so forth. So I think it's once again, it's a matter of information.
Okay, thank you so much for answering the last question. It is such an interesting discussion, but unfortunately we have to cut our Q&A short because of the time limit. And I apologize that I cannot address all of your questions in the chat box, but I hope that if you have any questions, I hope that Mr. Wilson doesn't mind if we may probably can share your insight in another agenda. So as a closing remark, I would like to highlight some of important points. First is that we need to focus on the skills and the tasks that could not be replaced by technology. And second, it is becoming more crucial to be able to see and consider the supply of workers from TVET institutions and the demand from the industry. Third, we should incorporate lifelong learning into the skills ecosystem of every stakeholders. And lastly, stakeholders in every level, whether it is in micro, meso, or macro level, have their own contribution to ensure the relevancy of TVET, and collaboration is encouraged to address many issues in TVET. So thank you so much, Mr. Lima, for the insightful speech and for the fruitful discussion. And I hope that you're still willing to come and participate in our future agenda. And I hope this collaboration is not the last, and we will still continue our collaboration in the future. And as a form of our appreciation, allow us to show the e-certificate for you as a keynote speaker through the screen. Unfortunately, we cannot deliver this e-certificate directly to you, but we will send the certificate through your email, and hopefully our gratitude can be still conveyed properly. So thank you again for Mr. Wilson Lima Jr. And that's the end of our plenary session. Most appreciation for all participants who have actively listened to the presentation and actively participate in the discussion session. And thank you for having me. And I apologize for any shortcomings during the plenary session on my part. And I will roll back the session to the MC. See you on the next agenda. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an outstanding and remarkable discussion from Mr. Wilson. Hopefully, we are able to deepen our knowledge in the TVET world through his discussion. We would also like to thank Ms. Ana Ramdhani for the wonderful moderation. We thank you very much.
Now, we have had productive and inspiring time together, and this event is about to come to the very end. I hope you have found the presentation at this conference are informative and helpful. Now, we will announce a award for the best presenter of the 7th TVET Conference 2022. We'd like to invite all the presenters to turn on their cameras. Who are the best presenter of each group?
Well, Nabila, let's see, shall we? The best presenter of today's conference. Best presenter room 1 goes to... Mila Karisma.
Please a round of applause for Mila Karisma. Congratulations.
The best presenter of room number 2 goes to... Dedi Purwanto.
Congratulations to Dedi Purwanto for best presenter of room 2.
Best presenter of room number 3 goes to... Gunawan Prawira.
Big applause for Gunawan Prawira, best presenter of room 3.
Best presenter of room number 4 goes to... Didin Wahyudi.
Yay! Congratulations to Didin Wahyudi. Please a round of applause.
Best presenter of room number 5 goes to... Nopriadi Saputra.
Congratulations to best presenter of room 5, Nopriadi Saputra.
Best presenter of room number 6 goes to... Gerald Adio.
Please a round of applause for Gerald.
And last but not least, the best presenter of our last room goes to... Emmanuel Tatafio.
Congratulations for Emmanuel for the best presenter number 7.
Congratulations to all the best presenters in the 7th TVET UPI Conference 2022. We hope that your research may bring a positive change for the world of TVET. Before we continue, please smile at the camera for the documentation. Thank you very much. You may now close your camera.
Please
And
leave a
to
big
all
smile.
the participants attending this conference, please reopen your camera because we will hold the last documentation before we close the the conference. Please, for all the participants, and I'm very sorry for the winners, please reopen your cameras because we will hold another documentation for the whole participants of this conference. Thank you very much for your understanding.
We are at the end of the conference. For the closing remark, will be delivered by the Honorable Vice Rector of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Professor Dr. Didi Suyadito. For Mr. Vice Rector, time is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Innal hamdalillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amma ba'du. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, it is a great honor to give the closing remarks to the 7th UPI International Conference on Technical and Vocational Education and Training for TVET. I believe that during this conference, we have had fruitful discussions. In this conference, with the theme digitalization on technical and vocational education and training, we have learned a lot from the plenary sessions that was delivered by three outstanding keynote speakers from Thailand, Indonesia, and UNEVOC, Germany. Thank you for delivering such important material so that we can all deepen our knowledge about the new and evolving digital trends and tools in TVET, how to use digital media and its integration in effective teaching and learning to students in order to prepare students entering the workforce of the future. As we know that TVET will play a key role in training, retraining, and upskilling a post-COVID society. COVID-19 has brought forward countries thinking about how technology can be used by TVET. While digitalization is not a new trend, the COVID-19 pandemic has sharply increased the demand for digital skills. TVET institutions need to build the capacities to take advantage of digitalization and integrate digital media. Through this conference, we have an opportunity for exchange of knowledge and of examples of good practices of collaboration in TVET at all levels. Furthermore, I would like to thank all presenters and participants who have attended this conference. I believe every presenter has presented the results of their research and valuable thoughts. I really hope that through the presentation and discussion, we can all contribute to the solving of the problems of vocational education in our country and in the world. I'm pleased to let you know that this international conference is one of the proofs of UPI program to reach the target in research, academic, as well as in international collaboration, since this conference is organized by a Faculty of Technology and Vocational Education, also within the framework of Regional Association of Vocational and Technical Education in Asia, or RAVTE. Finally, I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to the Advisory Board, Scientific Committee, and Organizing Committee for enabling this conference to take place. Also, I thank everybody who take time to attend this conference virtually. Having that said, I officially closing this international conference by reciting Hamdalah. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you very much to the honored the Vice Rector UPI for the closing ceremony. Before we come to the end of this conference, we will leave you with a quote by Stuart Brand. He said, "We can see the past but not influence it. We can influence the future but not see it." Let us be guided by all the things we have learned and heard throughout the conference and be able to see and influence our future.
A kindly reminder for our participants to fill out the exit form before you leave this conference. Also, we would like to announce that the committee will inform you on more details regarding the certification and publication on a later date on our website. And also, for today's presentations file will also be available on our website, so please keep in mind and check regularly of our website. Ending this conference, we thank you very much to our distinguished speakers, guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, of the coming 7th TVET UPI Conference 2002 with the theme Digitalization on Technical and Vocational Education and Training. Thank you very much and see you on the next UPI TVET Conference.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.